You're listening to the Jōrni Podcast. When grief shatters everything, where do you even begin to put the pieces back together? Listen in today for a powerful conversation. This episode contains adult subject matter and some listeners may be triggered by this content. Listener discretion is advised. Hi, I'm Petra Brunbauer, and with decades of experience with sadness, pain, anxiety, and stress, I finally figured out how to leave all that behind. And this podcast shows you how to break free permanently so you can reclaim your sanity and find the self-esteem and energy to go after the life you desire. With real talk about mental health, holistic healing, and the tough journey of coming out the other end. This is the Jōrni Podcast. Welcome to today's episode. In this episode, we explore the connection between holistic healing and self-belief, especially in the face of life's most difficult challenges. Our guest shares how personal loss, caregiving, and unexpected change led her to redefine her mission and embrace a deeper understanding of resilience and transformation. Caren Paskel is a best-selling author, speaker, and the founder of the Self-Evolution Education Foundation. With decades of experience in spiritual education and yoga principles, Caren guides individuals on a transformation journey, inspiring them to reach their fullest potential. As the former owner of Soul Yoga, facing the challenges of managing multiple studios while caring for her husband, who was diagnosed with a terminal illness, paired with a global pandemic, led Caren to reevaluate her mission, which is a testament to her resilience and an inspiration to all. A firm believer in the power of community, Caren has inspired thousands through her self-evolution courses, retreats, and books, including her acclaimed work, The Power of Self-Belief. She has since expanded her mission to include self-caregiving support for caregivers, launching a program that promotes self-care practices for those caring for loved ones. Her philosophy centers on the idea that personal development begins with inner strength, amplified by a supportive community, and her programs ignite individuals with their full power of self-belief. Caren's work also emphasizes a holistic approach to agelessness, integrating disease prevention with energy management, emotional well-being, physical vitality, transformative relationships, and a deep sense of purpose. Through her teachings, she helps individuals cultivate longevity and fulfillment by aligning mind, body, and spirit. Her latest endeavors, including the Youthful Longevity Mastermind, reflect this philosophy, providing a space for deeper exploration into sustainable well-being and lifelong growth. Let's meet Caren Paskel. Hi, Caren. It's so great to have you on the podcast today. I've been looking forward to getting to chat with you because holistic healing and self-belief are such important topics, of course, when it comes to healing and our own health and well-being. So I'm excited to dive in with you. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm always so grateful to be here talking to people who share the same philosophy and mindset to life, and just really appreciative that you're having me to share my story.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like this is a topic that will resonate with so many listeners as we're moving through different challenges in life. And I would love to hear from someone who's never had a challenge in life, but unfortunately, I don't think it works that way. So, yeah, anything that we can do to talk about this and get the word out on how people can help themselves in many of these situations. For starters, would you like to share a little bit about your own story? Maybe how your story connects up with what you do today, and let our listeners know what it is that you do today.
I would love to. Thank you. I was drawn to yoga at a really young age because I had a panic attack in school and I started to develop some anxiety and depression and issues with my body and what was happening, and lots of pressure from the outside. And even in my home, there was some things going on as well. So yoga really helped me find myself and connected in a different way. And that led me to the path of yoga and self-development. And I was always very introverted. And that's why I loved yoga. I did sports and dance, and I was even acting and singing on stage, but it seemed very extroverted and it wasn't as healing. So yoga really became a lifeline for me throughout high school, throughout college. And I had a lot of mental health problems that trickled into my physical being. I really wasn't well. I was sick all the time. And it just kept feeling like I couldn't get better. I couldn't find that joy and happiness and just even energy on a day to day basis at a pretty young age. And I kept trying to do yoga and I was in therapy and all of these things. So I think I was on the right path, but I just didn't have all the right tools and all the right support and help. Along the way, I hit some roadblocks for sure and some bottoms, and I rose back up. And I think that when I finally started to reflect on the universal laws of life and eternal values that I found in the Vedas, is very ancient wisdom. But for me, the way that it was presented was in a very practical, accessible manner. They're just simple teachings. And honestly, I was floored. I was floored at how simple it said how it is to live life. And I was wondering why I never learned this in school or from my parents or all my therapists. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, this is so simple. And I took to it like a sponge. And I'm telling you, within 1 year of that, I was able to get off all the medications that I was on for depression, anxiety. A lot of my health issues disappeared. I was able to get out of a very toxic relationship that I was in, a marriage. So I got divorced. And all of that was huge because that was really an impediment to my happiness and fulfillment on a daily basis. That kind of plunged me into a new Caren. And from there, I was able to then leave my job of 11 years, open my own yoga studio. And at the same time, this was so pivotal because I had all these teachings and I was feeling so much better. But then I met this man who had the power of self-belief. He was 12 years younger than me, was love at first sight. I was totally not expecting this in my life. And that power was so inspirational combined with the knowledge that I already had. It was like this merging, this amazing peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You don't know why does peanut butter and jelly work so well together? I don't know, but eternal values, this philosophy and self-belief, I went to a whole nother level of living. And it wasn't really until my husband got sick. I mean, we were just flying high in our marriage and a new house and a new dog and new businesses. When he got sick, it was like everything stopped. Like it just stopped us in our tracks as we were going so fast. And that is the blessing. We were almost going too fast. So we really couldn't even hold on to what we were doing. So we had to reevaluate everything. We had to slow down and I had to shift myself into a more caregiving role that I had never done before. That was not a role I was used to. And he was not the best patient. He did not want to be taken care of. So that was difficult and we really had to navigate. So that's pretty much the story, is that I became a stronger person because I had to take care of this beautiful man. And I had to believe in myself, not just let his belief inspire me, but be inspired by my own belief. And I had major health issues still because of the stress of my husband's brain cancer and the day to day emergency state that we were in. And I actually developed pancreatitis. I was in the hospital twice. And as you know, inflammation can turn into disease. That was a huge wake up call. Like, Caren, you have to reprioritize your health. And how am I going to do that with taking care of this person? That was the biggest challenge. And I really had to realize that without doing that and making that decision, I wasn't going to be able to take care of him. So that's where that shift happened. And after he passed, I signed up to work with some mentors who were like the epitome of health, optimal health, youthful longevity. And that example, I think for me was so important to be around as the bar to attain this. I have to be in proximity. And they really helped kind of lift me. They love me so much and encouraged me so much. And I was able to eventually find that whole self health in a couple of years, a few years it took after my husband's passing. So I wrote a book about it too, called The Power of Self Belief, which we talked about. That's a shorter version of my story. So I'll stop there.
Thank you so much for sharing that journey with us, Caren. And wow, there's a lot to unpack in what you shared, and not just your health journey, also the journey with your relationship and the passing of your husband, which is hard at any time in life. But it sounds like, I don't know, did you get much time together with your husband? You said it was love at first sight. So did you get much time?
For me, nobody else thinks it's enough time. It was 6 years total that we were together. He had a seizure 1 year after we were married, and we got to celebrate our third wedding anniversary. So we were together 3 years and we were married 3 years. The thing is, it was such quality time that we had together that I almost feel like it could have been more than times 10 of 6 years. It could have been 60 years all condensed into this time frame, how much we went through in the time and how much change there was. So for me, even though 6 years might not sound like a long time, the impact was greater than any relationship I've ever had.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because, as you said, you slowed down and you came together in what was happening and you were caring for him. So these would have been really intense times for you as well. You mentioned that you got ill a few times, and I think that is sort of the natural thing that happens. Like you said, when we have inflammation, we have very intense emotions and we're not processing them or unable to process them because there's so much stress going on. How did you shift after your husband's passing from feeling this illness, from feeling the grief, the loss, into, you said you discovered longevity and whole body health. So, how did that shift happen for you? And what were some of the things that you were doing? Did you do the shift consciously, or was this something that happened by meeting your mentors? How did that come about for you?
It's such a beautiful story and transition. I really love to share it. I was just talking about it with my mentors too when we were creating the webinar for youthful longevity. I was at a precipice when my husband died, and I had closed my yoga studios down during the pandemic because of the 7 months that they were shut down from the mandate, and my business was going under. My husband was still alive, and he was saying, Caren, if you really want to reopen your studios for you because it's something you love so much, then do it and you can do it. But it is going to be so hard, especially with what's going on with me. And that's when I took a course online. I invested in myself a big amount of money that I ever had before in something like this. To I had the course already called Caren. It was called Cliff Notes on Happiness. It's called Caren's Notes now on Happiness because they're really my notes. And I wanted to turn this weekend workshop into a course online because I was really, really passionate. I mean, my purpose is to get this information, this knowledge, this life education to the masses in a practical way and a lot less condensed time than I had accumulated it, than it had taken me. So I wanted to package it. And I took this course before my husband died, like right before he died. It was 5 months long. I didn't even get to finish it. The whole point of the course was to create a webinar. I didn't even create the webinar, but what I did was I built the course and I was able to put it online, and I was able to start a whole new business online called Mental Training, which now is called Self Evolution. And a bunch of people signed up, and it was so easy for me to transition and say, wow, here's something that makes a greater impact where the studio was draining me having that small business, and it was keeping me small as well because all my time went there. So that made it really easy to close that down. It still wasn't easy, but easier because I had this mission now and I transitioned my business, and that just immediately flourished. When he died, I put it on hold for a while and I just let myself be. I think for me, because I had a purpose, that's why I didn't completely fall apart. It was like that existed before I met him. I lived out my purpose as I met him. So it wasn't like, oh, I met this man, the love of my life, and then just decided that was all. No, I was still self-led. I was independent, and so was he. And we were still growing independently and as a couple. So when he died, although it felt really heavy because I loved him so much and his presence, I knew that I still had this mission and purpose. When I was able to kind of pick myself up, I already had this program going on and I wanted to keep it going. I wanted to create another program. I wanted to scale it. So that's where my mind was at, where, okay, I'm ready to make this bigger and greater and more impactful and to keep going in this direction. I didn't sign up with my mentors right away. I thought maybe it was time to go back to India because I had gone to study Vedanta under my guru for a couple of years when David was alive, for a month at a time. And that was my go-to. I thought, okay, I'm just going to go off to India, right? And I was reaching out at the same time to try to finish my webinar to the ongoing support group. So here I am thinking I'm going to go to India, but I'm also sending these posts in the support group saying, can someone help me? My husband passed away and I never was able to get this webinar out and I just don't have the technical skills. And then this beautiful unicorn, I call him Avatar, Ivan, who was also in the program. We were the two best students in the program. So we kept seeing each other with all these wins and celebrations. So I knew of him. And he reached out and said, I think my partner might be able to help you with this. And his name was Solomon. So I hopped on a phone call with both of them and it just turned into, I definitely needed more than a webinar. I needed a health team for support. And I didn't realize how much I needed. But the truth is, and this is why I just trust in the universe that lives within me, that I am made of. And I wasn't even able to get a visa. So I could not have gone to India at that time. I signed up for a year mentorship with the two of them. That was when I started to kind of fully step into this idea of whole self health and what that really could look like and how I really could feel. And just like David was my catalyst for the power of self-belief, Ivan and Solomon were the catalyst for youthful longevity. And even though they're younger, their health and their peace and the way they carry themselves and their unconditional love and the mental stability and the equanimity that they carry with them, that is what I needed after my husband passed because of the chaos that I was in on a daily basis. I just needed that, the balance, the peacefulness, and the unconditional love that they gave me, no matter what state I was in. I didn't need to be around people who were judging me or having opinions or even saying, oh, this is so terrible that you lost your husband and this is the worst thing and life isn't fair. So I felt a lot of people victimizing me. And that was not the language that was helping me move forward. I really needed this immense support and I got it. Does that answer your question about how I kind of got into or out of where I was and onto this new plane?
Yeah, absolutely. And it sounds like another beautiful piece of the journey that you took. Can you share with us a little bit about what kind of tools are involved in this journey? So, when we're talking about youthful longevity, we're talking about peace, we're talking about emotional intelligence. It sounds like, what are some of the tools and techniques that you got to work with on that journey with your mentors. I'm sure our listeners are a little bit curious as to how this happened exactly.
One of the things I've learned early on is that knowledge can't be given, it can only be taken. When I was studying Vedanta initially, I had to choose to take this knowledge in and to really reflect and think about it for myself so that I could apply it to my life. Same with Ivan and Solomon. They didn't really tell me what to do. It was more of an example of the way that they were living that really rubbed off on me. One of the tools is being in proximity to greatness. That's really what it is. And I think I realized that with my clients one day when I was on this community call leading, and I was thinking, how are all these people changing so much? And I was like, oh, I just believe in myself. That power of self belief inspires them to believe in themselves because I didn't do it for them. All the transitions and transformations, I didn't do that. They did it, but they were inspired just like I was inspired. I really believe in the power of self transformational relationships, which I write about in my anthology, The Power of Self Transformation, because those relationships, that's the tool, that's the key. I was always so introverted that I kind of pushed a lot of people away, but it was because I think the energy wasn't right. The key is finding aligned humans that have what you want. And when you align with them, they influence you in a very positive way. They don't have to push and pull you. It's just leading by example. And that you can rise into by being around long enough, just like anything else, vice versa, it works the opposite as well. So that's one of the greatest tools that I will share right away. But I also want to share something so simple. And when I learned about bhakti yoga, when I learned about being devotional and just being in awe of all the blessings, that was one stage of gratitude that took it to another level. With Solomon and Ivan, I took it even further where I understood recognizing all these blessings, but really putting that to practice. And one of the daily practices that I have that I'd love to share with everybody, because everyone talks about gratitude. So we know it's right. We know it's good. We're not going to argue that. But I have heard from so many clients and so many people that it's really hard for them to be grateful. And one of the things, so I'll give you a sneak peek, I'm going to be sharing this in my March health tips for my birthday, but it's not just being grateful and reciting what you're grateful. It's every day being grateful for exactly what you have today, right now. And then tomorrow, the same thing, and tomorrow, the same thing. So if you begin every day immediately and you train yourself to wake up, and let's say your eyes open and you recognize that blessing. I can see, I'm grateful for sight. If you wake up and your eyes don't open, then you're grateful that you woke up. So you never do the negative. You never focus on what you don't have. It's like, oh, I can't see today, but I'm awake. I am grateful to notice that I can't see. Do you see what I'm saying? There's such a difference there. That's a huge tool because gratitude has been scientifically proven to increase your immunity. It's stronger than the flu shot. I always say this. I used to have a very weak immunity and get sick all the time through my whole childhood, most of my adulthood. I've gone through Michigan with weather changes from 2 degrees to 50 degrees the next day. This is what's happening. I have not gotten sick once. I've been in rooms. I just went to my mother-in-law's funeral. Unfortunately, every single person there was sick. So I have not gotten sick because my immunity now is so strong from being grateful for what I have today. And that makes me never feel that I'm without. So I'm never feeling in lack. I'm never feeling like a victim. I'm so overjoyed. I always feel like I'm on overflow, like no matter what's going on, like I have more than enough. Now imagine starting your day every day that way. In that way, gratitude has trickled in my life to create a mega amount of joy, but also the health, because everyone will say the same. It is really hard. It's just hard to feel so joyful when you're sick. You can. I'm not saying you can't do it, but it's just extra work. So when you're healthy, it's almost like you don't even think about it. Nothing hurts you, right? You're just feeling amazing. And so that from that place, you can give more, you can serve more, and then more comes to you because you are in the ultimate state of receivership, which is what Joe Dispenza says, which is so amazing. I think those two tips of proximity to greatness, and you don't have to spend all the money I did. You can, but you don't have to. I have a community, the Community for Self-Transformation on Facebook. It's a group where I share this energy where you can be in proximity in my community. You may not be able to get the one-on-one mentorship without that extra financial investment, but I have created programs. I've created so much content that's free. And we've got a webinar that you can also have. And for your education, there's books, my book, and I have so many recommendations. Just being in proximity with great leaders, great teachers, great writers, the gurus who you really feel connected to. Like if you're listening to my story and you're like, I totally dig this chick, that's what I mean. If not, and I make no sense to you, then maybe it's someone else. And that's great too. That's why we have all these different wonderful personalities. So the proximity to greatness and the practice of gratitude every day for what you have, first thing, that's going to put you in this high vibration of youthful longevity.
Yeah, thank you for going over that. And, it makes a lot of sense because I'm not really quite sure who said that, but somehow that we are the product of the 6 people we spend the most time with or something like that, right? So it makes sense that whatever we're in proximity to affects our vibration as well and how we live. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. And I like your perspective shift on gratitude because, yeah, very often, we're encouraged to just rattle off, oh, I'm grateful for this, for that, for the other thing. We don't really even think about it. Maybe negativity going on, and we are thinking of that lack at the same time. So, shifting that into what we do have and being grateful for those things, I think that's a great thing to try. I'm going to try that in my gratitude practice tomorrow.
Oh, I'm
So,
so happy. I'm so grateful. That's amazing. I
thank you
want to
for
know how it
sharing that.
goes.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a little bit of a light bulb moment there. I like that. Yeah, I hope also for our listeners, very, very useful. And as you have come through this journey and you've discovered various things that work for you and that help you heal and feel better, you have, like you said, put this into a book. So tell us a little bit about your book.
So my book, The Power of Self-Belief, is my signature book. I've actually written 3 other books after that because I was so inspired. I never knew I loved writing, creative writing. I'm an artist, but it was always painting. And I didn't really have, to be honest, a desire to be a writer, a published author, to write a book. My husband did. I did not. And my story, I think, is why I was inspired to write a book and what happened to me. And because I realized that the power of self-belief, how profound and how great an impact that had on me and my life after I lost my soulmate and my yoga studio business, all of these things were gone. And yet here I am being able to thrive and come into whole self-health alignment. It sounded almost backwards. Also, I'm in my mid 40s. When most people have all these midlife transitions, their health gets worse. And here I am getting better. I really thought I want to share this story, but more importantly, it was my husband wanted to change the world. And he realized that it was more than enough changing me. And that's why he had peace, because he got to see me become this butterfly. I was always very in my bubble, introverted, not wanting to think so big, staying small, hiding behind the scenes. And he challenged me in a wonderful way to step up. I believe he was my angel from God, really, truly, so that I could come into my own fully, because I wasn't going to do it by myself. that's what happened. And I'm like, wow. So I thought bigger and more about expansion and impact and truly his legacy. How can I share and keep him alive? This is what he really wanted. He wanted to keep impacting people and helping people. And he was the power of self-belief. He gave that to me. Now it's my job. It's my turn to give it and share it with others. So I felt like a book was going to be the easiest way to do it because most people can afford a book. And if they can't, then I send them the ebook or the PDF. I can get that out there. What I did is I shared my story of the timing of meeting him and going through this whirlwind, this amazing whirlwind of a marriage in Italy and traveling all over the world. And it's like, oh my God, just to the outside would say, this is just, she's got everything. It's the best life. And look at them. They're the power couple, right? And boom, then he gets at 28 years old diagnosed with cancer, brain cancer. I feel like the book really shares the story of what I went through, how we navigated, how I navigated. It's like afterthoughts of Vedantic philosophy that are built into the story where I share what happened, but then I share the power thought and the teaching so that someone else who might be going through this or even may prevent them from, they could shift their perspective in case it happens, because we're all going to go through loss. Things are going to come and go in our life. No one's exempt from that. I feel like it will help people prepare for life, but also for people who are in it for sure, who have gone through maybe something similar. And I shared the pictures of me and my husband, and I just talk about so much that happened with me. And it's just a beautiful story and book. And I'm happily giving it away to caregivers and widows. So that makes me feel really good about it as well. There's just so much. It's actually right behind me. That butterfly, that's the power of self-belief. So that's my greatest, I think, achievement so far, because it's so easy to get a book to people. And I want to make that bigger impact.
Yeah. And I can imagine, like I said in the beginning, and you just reiterated that life's not without challenges, and everyone at some point will go through something in their lives. And having books, having community, having support, having guidance, those are the important things that help us come out the other end of these challenges. And we are different people, I think, when things like that happen to us. And your butterfly, I think, is a really good image for that. We change, right? It changes us. So, yeah, thank you for providing that in the form of the book and your community. And by the time that this episode airs, there is another project that you will have launched. So, tell our listeners a little bit about what's upcoming for you.
I am so excited about this because I manifested absolutely this consciously. I did, because we're all manifestors. We are all creators, whether we're doing it subconsciously or consciously. I choose the word conscious recreator. That is achievable. You can recreate yourself consciously and decide who you choose to be. When I met my mentors and I saw the way they were working together, I was envious of that, of their partnership and their cooperative endeavor and that team spirit and the two different skill sets that they had together. It was something that I really desired, and I knew that I needed it. I just thought to myself, like, man, I would just love to be a team with them, whether it's them or someone else. I want a Solomon, I want an Ivan, and I just want to work with these people because I could see the acceleration of what I was doing and the amplification if we had those aspects and the components of a team. So it kind of took different forms at first, but in just a matter of time, we've built our relationship now. It's just this deep spiritual connection. We're a spiritual family. We're soulmates at this point. And now we're business partners. I just realized that what the three of us created together naturally from working with one another and building this relationship, that there was a way that we could give what we created within each other and inspired within each other to the masses. That just was inspired recently. And we all came together. We knew we wanted to work together. We just didn't know how exactly it was going to come together. And then it just did. And it's like, I am, right? You two helped me, and then we helped each other. And really, what we're talking about is holistic health. This is what we've achieved mentally, intellectually, physically, spiritually, financially, in relationships. It's a whole self health. That's what we're calling it youthful longevity, because it's a quality of life. It's a youthfulness where you're not tired, you're not drained, you're not using stimulants. And actually, I don't think I've ever felt this way, to be honest. I don't know if I've ever felt this way before, where I'm not just energized, but fulfilled, the energy and the fulfillment together. And with all the knowledge along the way and that I've accumulated and absorbed. So with the wisdom and the experience, and then having the right relationships, being in those transformative relationships. So we are so excited. We are all so excited to be able to share. Solomon's a little bit more behind the scenes. He's a little bit more quiet. He's 27. So he's in that different generation. Ivan is his 30s. I'm in my 40s. It's perfect. So we have all that energy and experience to give, and we have different skill sets, but he's more technologically based, but also he was a monk for a while, and he knows all the Vedas and meditation and astrology. And he's just an amazing example of health and peace. And then Ivan is very musical, but he's really based on the energetics in the body. And he is magical with singing bowls, and he sings, and he is just incredible. Also, he's a master yogi and yoga teacher. And he helped me with so much inner child and energy work as well. And then here I am with the power of self-belief. And I have done so much work to achieve this state of youthful longevity. My whole diet shift from being a carnivore to plant-based. I shifted my water with the help of Ivan and Solomon as well, my hydration, all of this stuff. So I know it might sound for some of you like, oh my God, that's so much to think about. But what happened is the three of us, our priority, health is our purpose. So we're teaching this to people. We're teaching that when you reprioritize your health as your purpose, and 80% of your time is on your health and well-being and happiness and fulfillment versus 80% of your time or more working and being exhausted and then doing things to try to offset that, which don't help, then it's not quality of life when less than 20% is felt good. And that happened to me. I wasn't feeling good most of the time, 80% or more of the time. Now it's like 90% or more of the time, I'm feeling amazing and happy and peaceful and energized and healthy. And maybe just a teeny bit, there might be a day of something or a minute of this and that, or, oh, I get agitated. I'm not talking about I'm not human anymore. I'm human, right? I still yell at my dogs. And there are some moments when I might flip somebody off from cutting me off in traffic, and then I come back to my breath. It's not about perfection, but it really is about this vibration, this wavelength that I'm committed to every day. So yes, by the time this airs, we will have launched the longevity program, Youthful Longevity. It's about whole self-health alignment and what we've achieved. And we're going to just be giving this really high end of support for the community. We can't wait to do that. And we have a beautiful course involved as well, and customization for you. So yes, you can watch the webinar. You can have a call with us if you're qualified, if it makes sense, and we can share more about it with you.
Sounds wonderful, and such a supportive and warm place to begin or continue or dive into a healing journey from all different angles that make us whole. So sounds like a wonderful, wonderful place to go. And we, of course, will be linking to all of Caren's offerings in the show notes as well. So you can check there for the link to the webinar that you mentioned, link to your book as well, and anything else that we put in there for your programs, courses. Of course, we'll link up to your online presence as well, and listeners can connect with you there. I am sure that this episode has created a lot of curiosity around longevity and this whole transformation that we can achieve when we focus on our health in this kind of way. So I think there'll be some nuggets in there for listeners to connect with. Absolutely. And this has been another incredible episode, and I really hope our listeners have enjoyed this journey into holistic healing, youthful longevity, self belief. And thank you, Caren, for joining me today and for sharing your story, which has been so impactful. And thank you for all the work that you do.
Thank you so much. It's really been a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people work with loss, they work with grief, and it happens in different ways. We might even grieve the state of the world today, or the state of the economy, or the state of our job that we may have lost. So it is so important to bring this information to our listeners. And thank you again for doing that and for sharing your wisdom with all of us tuning in today. And with that, thank you everyone for joining me today, and take care, Caren.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen in. If you enjoy the Jōrni Podcast, please support us by subscribing, sharing on social media, and leaving us a review. We appreciate you. And you can find more of The Jōrni on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and our website, thejōrni.com. Sending you love and courage, and see you next time.